Okay, I think we can begin. Let's put our phones on silent mode. Let's do a small grounding. I'll just take you through a 2-minute micro meditation, and then we can get started. Right? Let's find our feet on the floor. Sense if our backs are straight. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or just lower your gaze and bring your attention to your breathing. Just notice how you're breathing today. How fast or slow, how deep or shallow. Just notice, just become aware of how you're breathing. And now let's synchronize our breathing. Let's breathe together. Let's breathe in. Breathe out. We breathe in. We let go. One more time, breathing in and releasing. Come back to normal breathing. And now let's connect with the divine. Let's say a small prayer, silently in our own words, asking for some guidance, for some protection, and to be shown the way. Slowly come back to your breathing. Become aware of the space around you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome, everyone. This is our weekly sessions on Vedic philosophy. For those of you who have joined for the first time today, I'll just share a brief about what these sessions are about, and then we'll take up the topic for today. I'm going to share my screen. So, very briefly, this is to provide an introduction to Vedic philosophy, one idea at a time. We take up one idea each week and we see how we can make it as practical as possible for our day-to-day lives. All of these are online. It's happening at the same time every week. Saturday is 3:30 p.m. India time. Next week, there won't be a session because I'm hosting a retreat, but we'll be meeting the week after. Now, these are modular to the extent possible, meaning you can attend any session anytime. There is nothing that is going to continue from one session to the next. You can start anytime, you can stop anytime, right? There is nothing to complete. There is no completion over here. Yeah. So feel free, if life comes in the way, please attend to it. When it makes way, then we'll be happy to see you here. Yeah. The one thing that I would like you to keep in mind as you hear the topic each week is what is it that you can take away that week, right? What will it make a difference in your life? How will it make a difference in your life, right? I want it to be very relevant, very applicable, right? Whatever we discuss each week. Yeah. Okay, so we'll jump right in. This is the broad overview of the Hindu Vedic scriptures. And for today, I have selected a story from the Puranas. Yeah. There are three kinds of Puranas: the Mahapuranas, which is the stories of Shiva and Vishnu, deities in Indic wisdom. There are Upa-Puranas, which are smaller deities and stories about these, and there are additional Puranas. Anyway, we don't need to get into all that. I've chosen a story from the Shiva Purana because this was the first story that my grandmom shared with me before she started talking about all the other stories. So I thought there's no other story than this one It is something that all of us know, right? It is not a new story, but just so that we are all on the same page, I'm going to share the story once more, and then we'll see what the story actually means. Yeah? If you've not already guessed, the story begins with Parvati after the marriage with Shiva. Shiva, one of the great gods in our culture, he's an ascetic and he frequently goes on meditations, right? Leaving Parvati behind. Shiva is accompanied by what are known as ghouls or goblins or ganas in Sanskrit, right? So Parvati is there sitting on a mountain, Kailash, Mount Kailash, surrounded by an entire army of goblins. Yeah? And at one time, one of her attendants tells her, wouldn't it be nice to have someone who's yours, not Shiva's? Everybody around is part of Shiva's army, but what about you? That thought stays with her, and once when she is about to go for her bath, she decides to create something out of her own dust. There are many versions of this. Some say turmeric, and some say the dust from her body. She takes it and she puts together a boy, yeah, fully formed by herself, and infuses it with all the wisdom, all the knowledge that she has. And this boy becomes devoted to Parvati. It's her son. And the moment he is created, he asks her, what is it you want me to do? What is my duty? So Parvati takes him and puts him at the entrance to her chambers and says, you stand guard. Don't let anybody in. I want my space. I want my privacy. Don't let anybody in. And she gives him a staff and says, stand guard. So this boy is standing guard, wanting to do what his mother has asked of him. He's not moving. He's just there. And then it becomes dark and Shiva returns. Shiva wants to enter. Shiva wants to meet Parvati. And there is this boy who's not allowing him to enter. He says, do you know who I am? I am Shiva. I'm the husband of Parvati. It is my right to enter. And this boy says, no, my mom has said nothing doing. Nobody is to enter. And he refuses Shiva. Shiva is annoyed. Nobody stands up to him. So he goes and he tells his army, take care of this boy. Ask him to move aside. The goblins come. All the ghouls, the ganas, Shiva's army. And this boy stands up to all of them. He has the wisdom, he has the strength, he has the courage to stand up to the entire army of Shiva. He defeats all of them single-handedly. They run back to Shiva and they say, what is this? We've not seen anything like this. A small boy standing up to the entire army of Shiva. Shiva is furious. He says, go figure it out, but I want to see Parvati. These goblins, they go to Brahma. And Brahma himself comes and he tries to reason with the small boy. The boy is not taking anything for an answer. He starts, in the Purana, it is said, he starts pulling the beard of Brahma and Brahma runs away. What is this? Somebody, a small boy standing up to him. They go to Vishnu. And Vishnu comes with Garuda and there's a fierce battle between Vishnu and the small boy. And even Vishnu is not able to defeat this boy. Vishnu himself. By now, Parvati is sensing that her boy is under threat. She wants to protect her boy. And she is not pleased that all the gods are going against him with their armies and he is standing guard alone. So she creates two Shaktis. She creates a fierce form with 1,000 arms, radiating fire, and sends her to assist her boy. And she creates another form with a huge mouth, as large as a cavern itself. Both of them are standing alongside the boy and battling the gods. The battle with Vishnu is still going on. Shiva is witnessing all this, and he is seeing that Brahma and Vishnu are not able to bring down this boy. Vishnu comes to Shiva and says, Shiva, in all the three worlds, I have seen Yakshas, I've seen Gandharvas, I've seen Asuras, but I have not seen anybody as valorous, as fierce, as strong as this little boy. I am not able to bring him down. Tell me, can I deceive him? Because that's the only way that we can defeat this boy. Shiva agrees. So Vishnu starts his deception. He starts to create Maya around the boy, but the boy does not succumb. The boy is infused with the strength of these Shaktis, and he brings down Vishnu and his deceptive powers. Now Shiva has had enough. He can't take this anymore. Immediately steps in. It is said that Ganesha brings down Shiva's trident the first time. The boy, right? It's not yet Ganesha. He brings down Shiva's trident. He's able to hold off Shiva till Shiva overpowers him and chops his head off. The whole world stands still. None of the gods move. They're just looking at what has just happened. They all know that this boy was created by Parvati and Shiva has beheaded him. Parvati comes to know, and there is a mixture of grief and shock and rage that all the gods ganged up against her son. She creates 1,000 Shaktis. Initially, there were only 2 that defeated all the gods with the boy. She creates 1,000 Shaktis and tells them, go destroy everything, all the gods, all the worlds, destroy them all. It is not fair, the world that we live in. And that's what they start doing. Till the gods step in, they bow down to Parvati and they say, please forgive us. Tell us, how can we make this right? After a long time, Parvati says, only on the condition that you bring life back to the boy and make him the chief presiding officer of all. And they agree. They said, if we don't agree, the universe is going to end. So they go to Shiva, and Shiva says, okay, go north. Find the first living being and get me its head. So they start venturing north, and the first thing they see is a baby elephant. They cut the head, they bring the head back, and they join the head with the body. And then it is said that Brahma, Vishnu worship this body with flowers. Shiva uses his mantra to infuse life back into the body. That's the story of the birth of Ganesha. He gives him 3 boons. He says, you defeated all the gods. You will be the foremost amongst all. You stood at the threshold guarding entry to Parvati. So I make you the god of all thresholds. You defeated all the gods. You defeated all the goblins. I'll give you the power to defeat anyone and anything. And then, I mean, all this is written in the Shiva Purana. And, the Shiva Purana is a dialogue between Brahma and Narada, right? Brahma is one of the deities, Narada is a sage. And Brahma tells Narada, we three, Shiva, Vishnu, and I, said to the gods simultaneously with pleasure after granting him excellent boons. They say, O great gods, just as we three are worshipped in all the three worlds, so also he will be worshipped by all of you. We are the offsprings of primordial nature. He is also the same and hence worthy of worship. He is the remover of all obstacles and the bestower of the fruits of all rights. He shall be worshipped first, and then we shall be worshipped afterwards. If he is not worshipped, we too are not worshipped. In Brahma's own words, Ganesha is our beloved in this land, and he is worshipped as, the popular way of saying it is, the Lord of Obstacles. But the way I think of it is the Lord of Thresholds, the one that stands guard at the threshold. Thresholds, well, let's see. Okay? What is the story about? Let's look at the main points. A boy that was created by Parvati alone without Shiva. The boy who stood guard at a threshold. Defeated anyone who tried to cross that threshold without permission. Shiva beheads the boy, replaced by an elephant head, and grants Ganesha 3 boons. Yeah. So I would like to go into the story, yeah, but I would like to do it in small breakout rooms where I would like you to explore, what does the story mean? I believe that all these stories have deeper layers of meaning, and we need to peel these layers to see what all of this means. So if we can spend a few minutes with each other, just exploring the different aspects of the story, and then we can, have a small sharing about, and I'll share also, how I'm seeing all of this. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. You're in the main room. How was that? Did you all get a chance to think about what the story could mean? Would anyone like to share what you found?
Okay, so we had a good discussion in our room. So I think one was more for reflection. Like if we look at the whole idea about Ganesha, like it is a union of, I mean, Parvati created it, and Parvati is seen as consciousness, like, and Shiva is more like the form. So Ganesha could also be seen as a union of form and consciousness, maybe, right? And like
Shiva is the consciousness and Shakti is the energy of creation. Mm. You said it, Ulta.
yeah, sorry, the other way around. But like we also were thinking, like, I mean, gods have so many different powers. So like why they felt the need for a sacrifice to create Ganesha, and like, and if indeed, why was elephant the only choice? I mean, it could have been a tiger or a dolphin, whatever, right?
For me, it's a story of ego, what I see in this. And Parvati represented for me this Prakriti who created uh, this soul of the human Ganesha, you know. So she creates this matter, but this matter is incomplete without the Shiva, basically, you know. And what I learned in this is that we often try to create our identity purely from the material world, our achievements, our bodies, possessions, and without much acknowledging the Purusha, which is the Shiva, the pure consciousness. So the self is beautiful, but incomplete without him. So that was just the interpretation for the first part. We'll just like pause here.
I can go with
yeah. Go ahead, Kushmita.
So something quite similar from what the others presenced. What came up was ego, the replacement of ego with wisdom. So somewhere along the lines of, how the ego, which was incomplete, was infused with the higher consciousness and bringing in wisdom to make it a whole. So, yeah, thanks.
Very nice, thank you. It's very similar to what I have, right? Everything that you all have shared. Let me show you. So these were the traits of the story. Parvati created this boy without Shiva. Right? I mean, we have Shiva and Parvati together, and she ends up creating this individual without due consideration for awareness. It has to be with a capital A, or the unmoving with a capital U, right? The Purusha, right? The consciousness, like what Ishita and Suchit were saying. So creating something only out of matter, it can be as courageous and valorous and strong and defeat all, but it's almost not acknowledging the presence of the other. It's a union that has to happen between two opposites when you create something. And here the opposites are not man and woman, but matter and energy, matter and divine, Prakriti and Purusha, Parvati and Shiva. Whatever we create can be have both together, can we invoke both. She places this boy at the threshold. And that is where all the war happens. And he defeats all of them. It's very messy, the thresholds. Beginnings are very messy. They are full of obstacles. But he overcomes all of them. No wonder he is said to be the Lord of all obstacles. Not the Lord of perfection. Going through the threshold allows us to reach perfection, which is Saraswati, the goddess of perfection. We first worship Ganesha and then we have Saraswati. They're always worshipped together, right? But we need to go through the threshold and the obstacles and all the messes over there, the messy things over there, in order to reach that perfection. Now, all of this, I mean, he's standing guard, he's fulfilling his duty, but that duty doesn't have context. He does not account for who Shiva is. He's doing his duty. But we need to bring in the context, right? So Shiva beheading the boy, for me, the head, it's actually removing that ego, that identity, right? Which is not considering the divine, which is not considering something higher, right? Just doing duty for duty's sake. Replaced by the elephant head, which indicates many things. One is a vaster perception, a better memory, non-reactive, huge ears, so something that listens. And granted 3 boons, right, of being worshipped. First, the Lord of thresholds and boundaries and the remover of all obstacles. Once Shiva restores life back to this boy, to Ganesha, he makes him the Lord of the Ganas. Ganas are ghouls, are goblins, are the evil spirits of Shiva's army. And he says, you be the Lord of my army, of Shiva's army. You know the story? Even Skanda fights Ganesha. And Skanda, that's Shiva's firstborn, is the only one who does not flee from the battle. He's just standing there, watching his entire army being defeated by this boy. And Ganesha is made the Lord of the entire army of Shiva, all the Ganas. Right? And then, there is this beautiful verse in the Rig Veda. You can just look at the English translation. He is the one to be worshipped first, and he is invoked first before we start anything, before we commence anything. So it's also, the reason why I brought this story in the very beginning, right? Because as we start this journey of the snippets of Vedic philosophy, it is Ganesha to whom we must, invoke, right? The removal of obstacles. He's said to be the poet of poets, the chief of all the knowledgeable, the Lord of the sacred world. And this verse, it asks him to be present. Yeah. So, yeah, a very brief retelling of one of the first stories, if not one of the first story that I heard. Any thoughts, any sharings? So if I may just piggyback on that, what is the takeaway from this for this week? And it's an open question to everyone, right? Is there something from the story that resonates in your life today that you can apply in your life? Or okay, so if any of this kind of work interests you, let me just share a quick slide. There are different workshops, retreats, programs that you can be a part of. We offer retreats in India, we offer retreats in Europe. Just reach out to us, right? That's my WhatsApp number there, 9843948288. And we'll see how we can collaborate, work together, be part of things together. Otherwise, this is what I had planned for today. Just find a few moments to breathe together before we close the call today. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you, everyone. Wish you a good week. See you in 2 weeks.